Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and yesterday was the first of two Super Saturdays of 2018. 5 countries chose their songs, and I think another 5 will choose next week, which means that I'm not going to have a weekend for 2 weeks running, but hey, that's fine. The first country to choose their song this week was Moldova, after, I believe, just a one-show deal with O Melody Pentru Europa. I think. I haven't been following the Moldovan selection show, to be perfectly honest, though I did recommend it to a friend of mine, so that's got to count for something, right? Well, anyway, after several years of non-success, Moldova has finally chosen Marina Dundiet, Eugeniu Andrianov, and Sergiu Mita, collectively known as DoReDoS, and the song My Lucky Day, which is presented in English, music by Filip Kirkorov, who you may recognise from previous Eurovision entries, and lyrics by John Ballard, who was also responsible for some successful Eurovision songs in the past, but I won't go into the specifics because we're here to talk about Moldova. So, right, diving straight in with my first impressions, before I first heard this song, I was warned by a friend of mine who is a huge fan of DoReDoS that it was a Kirkorov-Ballard situation, and that I should expect some sort of overproduced nonsense that's not indicative of the group's regular style, so I had my defences up immediately going into the song. Luckily enough, it was My Lucky Day, so yeah, no, it does seem to fit perfectly within the group's modus operandi, so it may not have been written by them, but honestly, you wouldn't know the difference as far as I can tell. I do have to admit though, I like the idea of what DoReDoS does much more than the execution of what they actually do, and this song isn't really an exception to that. I like the idea of it more than I like the song itself, if that makes any sense. But I do still admire their effort. Now, if you've been following me for at least a couple of months, then you might have seen that I recently did a feature-length video over on Patreon, which then came to YouTube a month later, because that's how my system works. If you want to check that out, patreon.com/TessHex, just a thought, about how Moldova as a whole operates and how their entries can be categorised into serious songs and fun songs, and their fun entries always seem to qualify. Well, I would say that this fits into that category of fun songs. So, well, while it is very classic Moldova, a lot of air quotes in this review, we'll just have to wait and see what its odds are for actually making it into the final, but you would have thought its odds are good because it's Moldovan fun, but before we get into that, let's take a look at what you might like about this song. Well, the word I keep coming back to with this, as I've sort of already indicated, is fun. There's no denying that this song is fun, depending on your definitions. It's Moldova's own patented brand of entertaining that only they know how to bring to the contest, and they've been making excellent use of it ever since their debut in 2005, so it's reassuring to hear that they still haven't lost that sense of magic, wonderment, and trumpeting. So yeah, despite the writing team responsible for this song, you could listen to any 5 consecutive seconds of it and immediately know, yep, this is definitely Moldova. Of course, the trumpet hook itself is highly helpful in sealing that deal. It's distinctly Moldovan sounding, but more importantly, it's memorable. I've spoken before about songs having signifiers that help you to remember them, and this song has one such thing. It helps too that towards the end of the song, the 3 of them actually sing along with said hook to sort of teach you how to sing it to yourself if you want to sort of scat along to the song to recall how it goes. It helps you, like, they help you to remember the thing that helps you remember the song, which is doubly clever, so this one will stick in people's heads. Also, and ironically I really should have mentioned this sooner, but the song has a really strong opening. It's the musical equivalent of just slamming the door open and bursting into the room like, hello, here I am, this is what you're about to experience. It lets you know that the next 3 minutes are going to be full of in-your-face energy and good spirits and good humour, which is absolutely vital for making a lasting first impression. Typically, people respond most to the first 7 to 10 seconds of any given encounter, whether that's a job interview or a song, or maybe not films because those are longer form stuff, but generally it's the first couple of seconds that count, and Moldova have got the first couple of seconds really nailed down. To keep that impression going beyond that, their national final performance demonstrates that they already have ideas for potential staging gimmicks, you could call them, to help sell the song. In this case, they've got those moving mirror panel things. I think they have 5 of them off the top of my head. Granted, they seem to have a little to do with the actual song itself, but it's a visual signifier that they could do some clever things with. And both that and the lyrics are split between the 3 singers very well, so it doesn't seem like it's just 3 random singers singing the same song at the same time. It doesn't seem like a duet with a third wheel. It genuinely seems like they're a trio. And the more people you're writing for, the harder that becomes to do. So kudos to you, Moldova, for picking a song that can do that, and that can do that well. But, as always, there is a flip side to all that positive, and it wouldn't be a fair review if we didn't consider it. First things first, this barely needs saying, but what I find to be a major weakness of this song, which you may disagree with, and that's completely fine, is that it only has one gear, again with the air quotes. Sure, it turns up with its high energy intro and it just sort of stays there, if I'm honest. For some, it might be a really fun, engaging 3 minutes of bouncy trumpet goodness, and that's fine, but to others, it's sort of like having to look after a hyperactive toddler who's just been given a puppy and 2 litres of coffee. And you don't want to give toddlers coffee, trust me. So for some listeners, the high energy everything will come across as very grating after some time. And since the song never shifts up or down in speed or tone, it's just 3 minutes of constant assault of high energy, it will sound to some people like little more than just that trumpet hook on a loop for 3 minutes with a little bit of stuff going on around it, but mostly it's just that hook. What would help with that is the way the song ends, where the group starts singing along with the hook and the instrumentation sort of winds down a bit, but then that's where the song ends! No! If I were writing the song, I'd put that bit in about a minute earlier, just 2 minutes in, just to break up the flow, to be the bridge between the second refrain and the final refrain, just to give it a nice change of pace, just to give the ear space to breathe, to put it in silly, artsy-fartsy terms. It would work so much better as that change of pace, but it comes in much too late to have its full effect. And so this all comes together to make the song, surprisingly, despite the trumpet, harder to commit to memory because, well, the whole song is in that one gear. It's really hard to remember any specific part of it because it's all at that same level. It's always constantly going. So if you try to think of a single point in the song, it could be any point in the song. It almost all sounds the same, and I don't want to say that. But yeah, in hindsight, it does seem, or it will seem to some people, like 3 minutes of energetic trumpeting without any single part really sticking out. However, not everyone will feel that way, but it's important not to forget that some people will feel that way. Can we all just please respect diverse opinions? Though this isn't exactly the most controversial of the Super Saturday songs, so well, we'll get onto that in due course. So anyway, having explained all of that as clearly as I can, I feel no shame in awarding this song a personal score of 7 out of 10. I do rather enjoy Moldova's fun side, so I'm glad to hear they're still capable of producing stuff of that flavour like 10 years down the line. But if I'm honest, this does feel like a bit of a step down from Hey Mama in my personal estimation. If nothing else, Sunstroke Project's song sounded much more chartable than My Lucky Day, and I do feel like it won't take too many listens before I start to find this song more annoying than enjoyable. I still enjoy it well enough for the moment, but I am aware that it's sort of in that danger zone, and it won't take much effort for it to cross the line. If they did some sort of revamp that gave the song more aural variety, so if it sounded a bit different over the course of the 3 minutes, then I'm sure that score would definitely go up though. And similarly, I'm giving this a technical score of 7 as well, with that same provision. That is to say, with a revamp to make the song less monotonous, I suppose you could call it, the score could and probably would go up. As it is, it's classic Moldova, it's classic DoReDoS, and they certainly know how to make an impression with the instruments they have at their disposal. But it really does feel more like a demo than it does a full song with how single gear it is. Also, through headphones, the percussion sounds a little bit, like stock heavy electro beat. Like it doesn't have much unique identity, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on this one. My main issue is the song's ad nauseam consistency, but it's not beyond redemption at this point though. So what does this mean for Moldova's near future at the contest? Well, I think you'll be able to guess whether or not I think it's a step in the right direction. If I was feeling cruel, I'd call it a step back, but I'll settle for neutral for now. As far as international appeal and chartability goes, I think this is a step backwards from Hey Mama, so considering it was chosen by the same national final process, that should mean that this is a negative step, but I will give it credit where it's due. The song is written by people who are renowned for Eurovision success. I don't think they've ever actually won offhand, but these writers have written songs that have done well, that have finished in the top 3, the top 5 before. So they're no strangers to doing well. So instead of gambling on a domestic success story, Moldova have outsourced to people who they know can write popular music. Whether that's a good thing, I'll leave to your discretion, but the question still remains of whether Sunstroke Project did so well just because of the epic sax guy. So I think if you can have doubts about that, then I think there's also room for, give DoReDoS a bit of freedom to outsource their composers to more competitive writers. If you criticize one, then you have to criticize them both. So either way, I think it all balances out. But with such big names attached, does that mean we'll see it in the final? Well, Moldovan fun entries have historically always qualified without exception, although that is a completely arbitrary label that I've applied to them, so say what you will there. But on those grounds, because it's different and unique to Moldova, you would have thought that it's bound to stand out and thus guarantee it a place in the top 10 of the semi-final. But there is that question of whether people will find it annoying. With a revamp to give the song more variety, I'd say it could be a contender to at least reach the final, with a bit more mystery as to how well the song would fare after that. But as the song currently is, I'd say there is a definite presence of the possibility of it not qualifying, depending on how the audience is feeling. After last year's winner, some people are convinced that the current zeitgeist is moving towards more sophisticated songs, so they might find this to be too childish just because it's fun, and some Eurofans don't like fun at the moment, so whether that means this will be overlooked or if it will stand out as a consequence, it remains to be seen. I would say don't get complacent, but also don't be defeatist. For now though, Moldova, I say good luck to you. I have been and will continue to be Tessellating Hexagons, and I really look forward to seeing where you take this entry once you hit the stage in Lisbon. Good luck, and we will see you in May.